Welcome to the Photography Brothers podcast. I am one of your hosts, Michael Costa. I take photos and stuff. Sometimes I put it in record mode and I record video as well. But somebody else who also is aware of these features on their camera is my co-host,
Jared Poirier. I am a photographer and a videographer here in Toronto, and it's a pleasure to be here in your eyeballs, in your ears, talking about photography, and I am pumped, let me just say, to get into this week's episode with my man, Michael Costa.
Likewise. Now, in this show, we tackle a topic, we tackle a news story, but before we get into that, we got to intro the show like we have been.
Intro the show proper, which you screwed up, by the way. You're not supposed to say welcome at the beginning. It just, you know.
It's personal habit with my own content. I do apologize.
I know.
But I do think the audience is in for something here that's going to reward them for listening to my terrible intro. Okay, listening all the way through to it. Now, Sydney, I'm so excited I get to say this time. Sydney, cool, I need you to cut the audio right now. My boy Jared has something he'd like to share.
Go, Michael. It's your birthday. We're gonna podcast like it's your birthday. We're gonna record a podcast like it's your birthday. And we don't care if it isn't your birthday. Woo!
It's in September.
Michael.
Woo! Okay.
Michael. It's his birthday.
All right. It's my birthday. So subscribe. But also next week, it'll be my birthday. So if you're watching next week and you haven't subscribed. And then the next week and then the week after that. It's kind of like when you go to a restaurant and you're like, it's my birthday. Can I have my drinks covered? Or can I have a free dessert? Yeah.
Your birthday's in September, right?
Sorry. Yeah, it's September, baby, man. I'm a Virgo
really,
at the very last day of Virgo.
September.
Where are you?
September what? And the year?
22nd. And it is 1994.
Oh, September 10th,
26.
1990 was when your brother Jared was born, man.
Oh, so you're September baby too.
I'm a September baby.
So Virgos, let's go.
Yeah,
Virgos unite. Yeah.
Virgos unite. Podcasters unite, and photographers unite. And that's what we're doing here on the Photography Brothers. I believe we've got a great topic today. I know that we have a great news story. At least I hope it was worth it, because I've researched this news story so much.
Yeah, man. So we do have it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it in a moment here. We're gonna be talking about crypto art for some reason. I don't know. I think people are gonna be into it, and it's gonna be some pretty hardcore stuff. But before we get into all of that, Michael Costa has a excellent topic for everybody here, and I was very intrigued when I heard of this beautiful topic. So what do we have for our listeners today, Michael?
Today, we are going to be speaking to a topic that's very relevant to me because it's something that I struggle with. And I think I'm going to open up with the story, and then it'll kind of become very clear where the topic is. So last week on Wednesday, I was late to a client gig. I think it was one of those things where, I could have managed my time a bit better. I think it's something that a lot of us struggle with, especially in the beginning, but sometimes, it's just, it's an ongoing issue that you kind of got to work towards. And I think that's something we're going to want to cover today. But basically, I was running late, and when I got there, I was filled with anxiety. I felt like I wasn't going to get the best work possible. And I think there's something to touch on in regards to time management and being on time, but when also you're not on time, what are you going to do to ensure that you're not going through that anxious feeling and basically, substituting, that creative vision with like rushed work. So yeah, I thought maybe we could start off by going over again that time management piece, and then we can transition into what do you do when you are late. So Jared, my dude, do you have any suggestions for time management?
For sure, or just like ways to avoid being late. That's definitely something that I want to get into. I think before we even talk about that, though, maybe we can talk about what causes us to be late, like the times that we have been late, and that it's going to happen to everybody at one point or another, not just photographers, not just creatives, but anybody anywhere will end up being late from time to time, right? It's gonna happen. So we gotta be ready, and we gotta find some solutions, and we will dig into those in a minute. But I think before we even do that, like I want to get into what are the causes of being late, right? And some things that I was thinking about a little bit before the podcast, like you definitely touched on, scheduling and in being organized and stuff like that. But I think another one is just trying to do too much stuff, right? Like the times that I've been late have definitely been those times where I like started a whole bunch of projects. Like I started editing a video, and I started doing my dishes, and like I still had to walk my dog or whatever, and then I had to like grab my camera bag and like run out the door, right? So I think we can give some advice on like both of those fronts, as well as just like, being present in what you're doing. I think the times that I've been late as well is when I got like caught up in doing something, right? Where I'm like, again, sitting at my computer, and maybe I'm noodling around on my guitar or something like that. And that's what's causing me to be rushing out the door at the last minute. Do you think that I covered it there, or there are some other things? I mean, maybe I'm the only person who like takes on too many projects and tries to do too much stuff, but
no, definitely. I think I know where you want to. No, like not definitely you're alone. I mean, definitely that's a
I'm
common
definitely
thread
alone.
as well.
That was last week's episode.
You are alone.
That was last.
That
week's
is
episode.
So check that out. All the platforms, But I think the other element of that, you mentioned, grabbing your camera bag. I mean, I think there's a lack of preparedness sometimes too, right? Like,
nice.
Is everything ready to go? And then even a level down from that is, are your cards cleared and ready to go, or your batteries charged? So I think there's that general preparedness to even just pick up that bag and go as well, right? I think another element of it is communication based. So, and I'm trying to think of how I can mention this without just going deep into the solution, but I think, communication with the client and having that ongoing, and having that understanding of times and if things have changed and that as well. So I think communication is something that you got to keep going through as well. It's not just, last month you set it, and then you just kind of try and show up at that time. I think that there's an element there of preparedness as well.
Yeah, definitely, man. And having that preparedness and having that open line of communication, being more organized, whether that's just like having a daily schedule on your phone that you're going through, or any journaling and stuff like that can be very, very helpful as well. And this is important stuff. Like, I guess it sounds a little bit boring because it's like, I don't want to use Google Calendar, or I don't want to use Asana is another really good scheduling tool that I recommend that you guys use. But at the end of the day, it is super important, and it's worth your time, and it is going to help you out a lot. Because like Michael is saying, especially with this story here, like I'm glad that he's bringing a personal story to the topic. I love that when it's like based on that and something that really happened in your life, man, and that we get to address that here. And like, this is how I've kind of felt as well, like what you were expressing a little earlier on, as like the feeling of stress, the feeling of shame even, right?
Yeah.
Instead of being focused, like when I've been late to gigs, like you can't even you find the organizer who you're working for and stuff, and you don't even want to look them in the eye, right? Because you're late, and and it's really it's really the opposite of how you want to feel when you're on a shoot, right?
Exactly. Yeah. What do you think? We dive into some hard solutions, some ways that people can avoid being late first. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, man, let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, to quote one of my favorite content creators, he hasn't unfortunately been creating for a little while now, which is again very unfortunate. But his name is Andrew Kearns. You may have heard of him if you're a photographer or a lover of video. In the platform on YouTube, kind of speaking to that. So, one thing he said in one of his videos was, current you should always be helping future you. So, one thing we touched on earlier in the conversation was, packing your camera bag. So, if you have your gig tomorrow and you have to set up your lights, you're going to have to bring, maybe a gimbal, your camera, whatever it is, even if it's just what's going to fit in your bag, you need to be doing that latest, probably the night before you go and do that thing. So clear your cards, clear everything. And that way you can pick it up. Also, when you're picking up your camera bag and leaving the house, that you're also prepared. There's not like an additional piece of anxiety that could be distracting on the way over, did I do this? Did I do that? Set up your checklist, set everything up. In general, that's one tip there. Another tip I did want to give was, make a list. Like I just mentioned, make a list of the things that you're bringing. Because in advance, so that way you make sure that you pack everything that you're going to need, and then you don't have to go back to get it if it's a super necessary item, right? If you're gonna try and get some super stable footage and you have a gimbal and that was part of the plan, you're not gonna be able to do your handheld or set it up on your tripod. Or if you're trying to do stable footage, you don't want to be setting up a book tripod. You all know what I mean? In front of the client, right? So there's that element as well.
I've got my camera on a book tripod right now, so
nothing wrong with that, man. When you're at home and you're making your content and whatever, that's cool. You just don't want to be doing that in front of the client.
It's true. No, you're right. You're right, man. I do have a personal story here as well, if I can jump in with that I think like really well illustrates the point here about like being prepared and having a checklist as well, because a checklist is something that you and I use for this very podcast, right? That's definitely an important thing. But a checklist definitely would have saved me in this situation as well, with one of my clients, that restaurant client that I do live streams for. Basically, we had my camera that we were using as a webcam. And basically, I wanted to get my camera all charged up going into the shoot and not following Michael's golden rule. We could even like maybe Sydney wants to throw in like the golden rule here with like a ding, right? Michael's golden rule. Ding. Okay, I won't do it. Hang on. Wait, you do it. You do like Michael's golden rule hands. And then Sydney was going to put it in after. But don't do the ding because she's going to do the ding. So it's just going to be like kind of mime it. Okay, ready? Ding.
Like that.
Nice. Good. Yeah. All right. We'll go with that.
I also think that we should sample you saying ding as the ding for every time
there's ever a ding. Ding.
Yeah.
Okay, get a clean one. Yeah. That one was probably fine. But here, I'll do a fresh one. Ready?
Okay.
Ding.
Ooh, you got some vibrato out there.
Is that a good ding?
Okay.
All right, that's a hell of a ding. All right, Sydney, that's the ding going forward. But anyways, wasting so much time, we have to get into NFTs eventually.
You're right. Tell us your story.
Jeez. Go. Okay, so you got to charge your freaking camera battery the night before, because the problem was going into this shoot, I forgot my camera battery at home because I had been charging it right before the shoot, right? I was at like 75% or something, and I was like, oh, I want to be all charged up for my shoot, and left my freaking camera battery at home on the charger. I mean, I worked it out. I got in an Uber and rushed home and grabbed it before the live stream started. But yeah, definitely one to avoid and easily avoidable, charging your battery before and having a checklist of like the gear that you need to bring or like the things in a process. Very, very important. Would have saved your brother Jared a lot of stress, and the Uber driver too. I was stressing him out, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, and on a related and unrelated note at the same time, like sometimes that gig isn't within the proximity and you can't make it back on time. So you have to improvise, right? On episode 1, I think I told the story about when I forgot my camera trigger for my first like apparel shoot.
Ooh.
And it was too far. So I had to luckily open, there were windows, could, pull back the curtains, reveal some light. But, that was an instance where, you don't want to have to improvise on the spot. And that's what I mean. It's kind of unrelated because we would go back in this scenario, you're able to go back and it just means that you're late for that reason. But, definitely, that list is going to be super important for you. The last thing I wanted to mention on time management was something that I referred to earlier is communication. So you want to make sure that, of course, you're going to align on time when you set up the gig, but the week before the gig, you want to contact your client. And then even the day of, the morning of, you want to just be touching base again. Hey, I'm going to see you. Hey, see you at 12. Hey, see you at 1. That week before, maybe you're going to say like, hey, just confirming we're on for, a 12 o'clock on Monday. You just want to keep that communication going. Sometimes it does happen, things are unexpected, things come up. The client, maybe isn't available. Maybe they were going to try and make that time and they were going to be late, but they actually had some other commitments that they needed to put on that day as well. Jared was just talking about, how on his end, sometimes, there's like this to-do list that you kind of put together, related to personal and business activities. And then that can also, be a bombardment of tasks that can tie back to you being late as well. And that can happen for your client as well. So sometimes it's even refreshing to be like, hey, just confirming, are you still good for this time? They might be able to, because a month has passed, now be like, what, is it okay if we do 12? Now you're saving your client from being late, which is going to help you guys not start late.
Oh yeah.
As well too.
I've definitely experienced that as well, where like I'm getting a little bit stressed out before a shoot, and then I kind of, even if it's like the week before, text the client and be like, hey, are we still on at this time? And then they're exactly in the same position and they're like, you know what, we won't be ready by that time. And I was like, whoo, thank
it
God.
happens a lot.
It does. Like, we're all people, right? And sometimes that's I feel like a big mistake that freelancers make is like think that they're the only ones who are stressed out and maybe need a little bit of extra time. Like in a lot of situations, your client might need that too. And keeping that communication open and honest is definitely a key part of it. But I actually have a really, really simple way to not be late. And I wanted to share with everybody here. Really simple. I don't know if it's as simple as like Michael's golden rule of charging your cameras. But maybe this is like Jared's golden rule of not being late. So maybe like Sydney could put it in here. I'll do the hands. Very magical. So here it is. Are you ready? Here's Jared's golden rule of not being late. Try to be early. Ding.
Yeah.
Aim for being early.
Yeah.
The shoots that I've had the most confidence at, the shoots where I felt the most like in control of the situation, are the ones where I got there before the client was there. You're sitting there on the stairs or whatever, you're sitting in the sun, you have a little bit of extra time to think about like what you want to do and how you want to do it. And you even can kind of like scout out the location as well, right? Because a lot of the times you're kind of like trying to plan something in your head the night before or whatever, and you've never been to the location. Get there early. Try to get there like even half an hour early, right? Like, is that really going to hurt you? No, it's going to...
No.
And even you don't even have to build a client for it. Just take that on as like, I'm here half an hour early. Well, you probably shouldn't unless you agreed on it, right? Don't build a client for it. Just be there maybe a half an hour early, scout out the thing. And then once your client arrives, they're going to be so impressed right off the bat. You're here early. Maybe your tripod's even set up in the freaking parking lot or something, right? And it's like, boom, this guy is on top of this. And immediately all of their worries, right? Again, we're talking about like the people who we work for, like they're still people. They still have stresses, right? Like they're not perfect either. And immediately you're just putting them at ease, and they're going to be much easier on you at that shoot, right? They're going to be giving you maybe like an extra gin and tonic, and they're going to pay their bill faster. So
that's right. Yeah. No, I think that's a really good tip to kind of cap off this element of it, which is, really just aim to be early. Like you said, 30 minutes I think is really good. Especially, I think you were referring to events in that example there. Like really important. You know, like Jared mentioned, you want to be able to go and scout out, and also if you have the opportunity, like if you're going to shoot a ceremony, something maybe tied to a wedding, you know, understanding where the things are going to happen. You know, where are they going to be coming in? Where's the dance going to happen? Where's the speech is going to happen? Having that understanding in advance is going to help you out. And yeah, you know, maybe you don't bill for it like Jared mentioned, but you know, it's going to help you, like it's going to relieve some of that stress and anxiety that you're going to have.
Well, if it's a wedding, you're going to be there more than half an hour early, I hope.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. No, not before right. No, I mean like the, what do you call that? The part of it. So after the ceremony, there is the reception.
The reception.
So you still want to get there probably a little bit more, just because for that event specifically, there's going to be quite a bit going on. But for general events, for your client gigs, yeah, definitely good rule to follow. So thank you for bringing that up. You know, look at how long it's going to take you to get there. Add an extra half an hour onto it at least, and like your boy Jared said, you know, feel that way. You know, you can be kind of prepared. But what if we talk about very, very quickly, you know, and I don't think there's as much to touch on here, but when you are late, so you you messed up, or maybe it was out of your control.
Worst case Ontario, you're late.
Worst case Ontario. Yeah. So Jared, quick 1 tip, 2 tips. What do you give advice to this kid, this person? They showed up late, regardless if it's their fault. What are you telling them?
Well, first, I would tell them to listen to the Photography Brothers on Spotify, iTunes, subscribe to the Galaxy channel, check out The Growing Photographer on YouTube, first of all, okay? All you kids out there. That's the first step. The second step, listen, you're in this situation, okay? You're late. Listen, Timmy. Listen, Timmy, you're late here. Your camera's charged up. You're ready to go. And here's what you need to do to address the situation. So I'd say number 1 is if you're running late, text your client. You already realize that you're going to be late. You're there on the streetcar. It's going to relieve a lot of your stress, and it's going to help the whole situation if you just come clean right away and just be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to be 5-10 minutes late, whatever it is, right? I think that's number 1. When you finally get there, again, don't be sheepish. Don't shy away from the person. Like, that makes it even weirder, right? Just, as hard as it's going to be, like, you are late, you are going to feel embarrassed, but still you need to, you know, like we talked about with Kashif when he came on the channel, right? Or when he came on the podcast, that's a big thing. Even if you as a photographer or videographer in the moment, like, aren't feeling that confident, maybe, you know, as he talked about, a battery died or something like that. So similar when you're late, still you need to exude that confidence, and you need to be in control of the situation. And again, be giving your client and the people there, like, the reassurance, right, that everything is going to be okay. So I think that's really my advice, is like right there, like as soon as you realize that you're going to be late, come clean on it. When you get there, just be like, look, sorry, you know, don't try to make excuses. It is what it is. And then you'll be able to move on. And you know, a couple of sharp exhales as well, you know, like don't be in a panic, because that's the worst thing that you can do, is get there. The worst case Ontario is that you get there and you are panicked. You're trying to like dodge the person. You're like hiding from them, your client, like trying to pretend that you're not late and stuff. Like they don't know. And then you're kind of fumbling with your gear and you're nervous trying to get shots and things like that. So that's what you want to avoid. Yeah.
I think you basically touched on all the points there. Just a smaller point. Don't try and set things up while you're driving to compensate. You get into an accident, you're going to be way later than you were about to be. So don't try setting up your tripods and your and calibrating your gimbal on the 401.
I'm picturing someone with his gimbal on the passenger side seat, like dialing it in. Like,
can you imagine like a C100 in the passenger seat, just trying to get that? Oh God. I wouldn't want to have to calibrate that in
that's funny.
In a non-moving vehicle, but
Nope.
Definitely, like Jared mentioned, try not to get into anxiety mode. That's something it's kind of easy to say, but breathing is so important. Certainly, the other day when I was in that scenario, I was very anxious when I got there. Really just, I talked to somebody, they reminded me to kind of just breathe and just remember, you're good at what you do. Just focus on doing that. And I think, like I mentioned earlier, just the more you focus on that anxiety, that pressure, the less you're gonna focus on, that creative vision, and the more you're gonna get that panicked, rushed work. And if you get 3 or 4 less photos than you had intended, but the quality of work is really good, that's going to be a better demonstration of what you can do, especially if this is a first impression or a second impression. You want to be producing the best quality work. Also, when you're getting there, the last point would just be to apologize. Like Jared mentioned, you don't want to be hiding and kind of like playing duck goose and like moving around people and hiding from your client. You want to go up and address them and try to be prepared and just let them know, I apologize, and you want to let them know that you value their time, right? So I think I think those are a few really good points there.
So good that we'll let them be the last word on this topic. I think it's time to get into the news.
Oh yeah. Okay. So news time. Very excited about this one. It's something that is tied, I think, more so to creative and art, in general, rather than focus on photography specifically. But it is a really interesting topic. It's something a lot of people are talking about right now. And me and your boy Jared have been looking into it a little bit. Jared, do you want to let us know what we're going to be talking about in the news story today?
Oh boy, Michael. There's been some topics. There's been some news stories here on Photography Brothers that have really let your brother Jared flex his research muscles. It's not great, but anyways. But the research muscles are good, even if the arm muscles aren't. And this topic, oh my God, you guys, this has been rabbit hole after rabbit hole, and I don't even think I'm the same person anymore after this news story here.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and here's the title of today's news story from NBC. I'm pretty sure, the ones with the peacock there. People are paying millions for clips that can be viewed for free. So what the heck is going on? What the heck's going on right now, Michael? What are these NFTs, and what is all this crazy business? These artists are becoming millionaires over weekends. Like, what's the deal, man?
Yeah, man. So NFTs, like Jared just mentioned, are non-refundable tokens.
Non-fungible. Non-fungible tokens.
Are they non-fungible tokens?
They're not fungible.
I thought you were just playing around with the words.
No, they're not fungible.
Non-fungible.
Mm-hmm,
All right, non-fungible. So, if you are familiar with some of the cryptocurrencies, a lot of people giving you a lot of advice on what to invest in. This is
on Instagram. I'm sure you got the messages.
Trust me, unicorn currency. You got to buy in now, buy in early. But
it's about that Dogecoin. It's about that Dogecoin.
It's about that Dogecoin, for sure. NFTs are kind of playing in that field, but they're a little different. So with NFTs, you in return, you get pieces of art, you get memes, you get videos, but they're all unique. So when you get these things, it is only you who has them. Try to think of like Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon. Like, you buy a pack of cards and then you get, these cards in return. Now in Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon or whatever those card games where you would get, obviously, some of these are duplicates. You get, there are like a million Charizards out there. You get one and that is yours. And what's been really interesting is that depending on what you get, people have been actually reselling these things or trading afterwards, which is kind of what I look at as an interesting parallel between, trading card games growing up. Yeah, it's been interesting. So just to mention a few of these things, and to give you kind of a few examples of what you can kind of get when you purchase some of these things, there was a Nyan cat meme. I think everyone remembers the Nyan cat. Someone got that and they sold it for $580,000. So
the artist the artist who invented Nyan cat sold it. Yeah,
that's right. LeBron James. I did a weird autocorrect in my writing here. So LeBron James,
famous basketballist LeBron Johns.
Yeah, and a long sprinter for sure as well. So LeBron James, there was a dunk during a big crucial game in his career. So there's an image that sold for $208,000. Mark Cuban.
It's a GIF or it's a video of a dunk. I think
it's a video of a dunk.
Pretty sure.
But also this one's kind of strange to me. But there are tweets as well. So Mark Cuban had a tweet that was I guess it's some sort of a screenshot or something along those lines, and so it was sold for just under $1,000. So definitely some interesting perspective given there as to kind of the wide range of things that you might get, but it really ranges from memes to artwork to just like general pop culture references.
Yeah, the big thing that got my attention here and seems to be driving a lot of the news stories and the news cycle around this right now was this auction by the artist Beeple. So this is what actually brought it to my attention here. And a lot of these headlines are talking all about Beeple and the fact that he, in a weekend selling his art as crypto art, was able to make $3.5 million. And then people are flipping his art after that for millions per piece, like in some cases, like $6 million, I think, a piece there. Yeah, somebody resold one of them for $6.6 million. So what's going on here, guys? Like, how are people making all of this money, and what's behind all of this? I really wanted to understand it. I mean, we see these headlines, we see Nyan cat getting sold for hundreds of Ks, and we see frickin' Beeple who's making like weird political art with like Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, but they're in like big mech suits and they're like, they have like big nipples or whatever, and like Mickey Mouse is drinking them or something like that, right? Buzz Lightyear's there. For some reason, with like big gargoyle wings or whatever. I really like his art. I dig it. It's weird, but it's very cool art. But what's going on here? Like, how did this guy become a millionaire in a weekend, and all of these other people trading around this crypto art? So that's what I dug into myself, and I started researching this topic yesterday, and I started with a little bit of a podcast by my man Gary V, friend of the podcast. Gary Vanderchuk out there. I'm sure he'll answer one of our emails one day.
He's on the episode 326.
326.
Gary will be on.
Yeah, after Hugh Jackman on 292 or whatever we said.
Yeah, so we'll go back. You can see it, but
Sydney will double check all of that stuff for us. But Gary V was describing it, and he was basically saying that should I try to do a Gary V? Where's my hat? Do I have a hat? Oh well. Anyways,
you need a toque and AirPods.
Yeah, I need to. I have the AirPods.
Too much time invest.
Too much time to invest. Just imagine I'm wearing a toque. I haven't been this excited about something since Bitcoin. You gotta jump on this right now. And these NFTs are crazy. It's only going to take like 20 hours of research to understand it, though. And most people are too much of idiots to do that, and they don't like to work hard. That's my Gary Vee impression. I don't know why I made him kind of a gremlin, but I don't have a hat, so I had to make up for it, I guess. Anyways.
That's not bad.
So I think
but you didn't touch on self-reflection or
the blue check on Instagram and how you need to be on TikTok. Hey, you want to get a blue check on Instagram? Hey, get it on TikTok or else. Gary Vee. I don't know.
Spot on, spot on. He'll never be on the show now, but
there
that's
was
okay.
there wasn't really a chance of him being on the show before, but now definitely not. Anyways, now we've assured it. So he mentioned that it would take about 20 hours of research to like start to understand this stuff. And I think I did do that. So here we go. This is the thing that Michael screwed up right away. Non-fungible tokens, NFTs. The non-fungible thing is super important. So what that means basically is that you did get it, the general principle though, right, Michael? I don't want to give you too much crap here on the podcast. Right, you were right about the general principle that you have your Charizard card, and that Charizard card isn't like anybody else's Charizard card, right? Yeah. So that's the thing with non-fungible tokens. So you have your token, which is very similar to having like a Bitcoin or something like that, except that it's not fungible. So the thing about like a Bitcoin or even a Canadian dollar, it's fungible in that it could be traded for another one. They're basically interchangeable. If I have a loonie and Michael has a loonie, I can trade him my loonie for his loonie. Right? It's not like anyone's going to get upset that like one of our loonies is worth more than the other one, right? So Bitcoins and most cryptocurrencies are actually the same in that they're fungible. So if I have a Bitcoin and Michael has a Bitcoin, we could trade Bitcoins and no one would be upset about it, right? So a non-fungible token is like kind of a certificate that says that you own something, basically, right? And that the reason why you need like a blockchain and like a kind of crypto aspect to it is the way that that becomes legitimate is that all of that data of who owns that thing is held on the blockchain. So that's kind of the thing that I wanted to break down and help everybody understand. So like, what does that mean? That it's like legitimized and that the data is held on the blockchain. And this is like the whole root of cryptocurrencies and all of that type of stuff. So basically the best way to break it down is, let's say that I want to buy Michael's Sony camera, right? Michael, how much are you going to sell me your camera for, buddy?
Body only?
Body only, man. I'll leave you your lenses. You can keep them.
$1,000.
$1,000. Okay, so I go on my phone here, grab my phone, and here we go. So I'm gonna open up my banking app and I send $1,000 to Michael. Right? Boom. Here's my $1,000 to Michael, and I paid a fee to send that $1,000 of $250 to my bank. Okay, Michael, did you get my $1,000?
I did, and I'm not giving you my camera, sucker.
I know where you live. It's on the internet.
Shit.
I feel like that's an ad for earpods as well, or AirPods or whatever, because you can run away from your podcast host when you
run away from deals.
Run away from deals. So when I picked up my phone, and I definitely did send Michael $1,000 there and paid my bank $250 for the transaction. Basically, the bank was the intermediary, and the reason why Michael got his $1,000 and I don't have $1,000 anymore is because the bank is there to register that transaction, right? Mm-hmm. They have a bunch of computers. They have a network at the bank. Okay. So here's the difference. You want to do Bitcoin, right? You want to do cryptocurrency, get rid of the bank, put in the blockchain. The blockchain, just a bunch of computers of people all over the world. Now you have a decentralized way to exchange currencies. And in this case here with non-fungible tokens is that you are able to register the fact that you own this Beeple or you own Nyan Cat on the blockchain, right? It's like your account is associated with it. And you can actually see as well the whole list of transactions, like everybody who's ever owned it. So if you're one of these people who's bought a Beeple later on, all of those transactions will be registered and legitimized on the blockchain. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Yes. That's good. I'm glad it makes sense. It actually gets a little bit more complicated than that, though. So with this non-fungible tokens, they're working on the blockchain, but it's something a little bit different because these aren't basically working with Bitcoins. They're working with something called Ethereum, right? Have you heard of Ethereum before?
When I read the article.
And Ethereum is a cryptocurrency, right, Michael?
That is correct.
No, you should.
No, it's not. It's the platform. It's the
I
platform.
was luring you into a trap.
Yeah, no. It's the platform that you use to trade for it.
Ah, there we go. Yes. So, yes, Ethereum is basically like a platform for building stuff. And the Ether is actually the cryptocurrency of Ethereum, which is very interesting. And also an interesting thing I learned is that Ethereum was created by a Canadian Russian dude in 2015. His name is, I'm sure I'm going to screw this up, Vitalik Buterin. So yeah, and he is super young, man. I think he's probably your age. How old are you?
13.
You're
26.
Oh, I think he's 27. So pretty close to Michael Costa's age.
Yeah.
So you're a little bit behind this guy, man. You haven't started any blockchain platforms backed by cryptocurrencies yet, as far as I know. But maybe the Photography Brothers will be launching our own. Stay tuned for that. Yeah, so basically that's what Ethereum is all about. And when I say build things, I mean art auctions in this example, but there's also a ton of other stuff that people are working on building with Ethereum. There is a uncensored version of Twitter that people are building on Ethereum. There is a payment gateway, essentially like so that pretty soon you'll basically be able to have a debit card that has cryptocurrency on it and you can just spend that. So they're working on that type of project. And one of the first things they ever worked on that was on the Ethereum network or on the Ethereum platform was this thing called CryptoKitties. And we might get into that a little bit later, but it's basically a online game where you can trade and grow, I guess, and whatever, like virtual cats. So whole range there. So now you understand kind of a little bit of the science behind it, right? Like the how this stuff is working, how these things are legitimized, how someone has come to own the Nyan cat or a Beeple, right? Because it's like legitimized by all of these computers on a network, and that's essentially the same thing as a bank. So now you guys get it. And it's also a little bit like trading cards, as Michael was saying. Do you collect any trading cards or collectibles or any stuff like that, Michael?
Actually, funny enough, when the pandemic started, it started teaching my girlfriend how to play Yu-Gi-Oh. So it was interesting to get back into that. So I got some cards back. You know, some dark magicians and some red eyes black dragons. You know,
nice, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
Any of that stuff very valuable?
I don't think so. No, maybe some of the older cards I used to have. Like I used to have like some of the old Egyptian gods and stuff like that. If you're a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, give us a thumbs up, because you know, getting an Egyptian god back in the day. Now you can buy one for $5.
There's a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh fans that listen to this podcast. I'm certain. Yeah, I've never been a big collector. I've got some comic books and stuff like that. I don't find them. I don't think that they're super valuable. Probably the most valuable collectible that I have is right here. I have this original Yoda puppet. I believe he's from 1980 some. Yeah, 1981. This here Yoda puppet, and he definitely smells old. But could probably sell him for like $500 or something like that. But anyways, I did look into, just to kind of contextualize this, because you look at these headlines and you see things like Beeple making 3.5 million, Grimes making 6 million, Logan Paul was making 3.5 million too, selling Pokemon cards of himself and stuff, and like video clips of him opening Pokemon cards, right? You're like looking at this and you're like, what? Like how could any of this be said to have value? Or like, what the heck is this, right? Like what is the value of this, and what is this kind of being based in? And then that really helped me wrap my head around it. I mean, it is a lot like art, right? Because they're like the scarcity in the art market is what creates art valuable. There's only one Van Gogh's Starry Night. There's only one original Mona Lisa, right? And that's the things that give these like their incredible values. And so that kind of helps contextualize things for me. I'm like, okay, that's why something could be worth like, you know, $200,000 or whatever if it's like a piece of art. But the trading card thing that you brought up is a really good example, man. And you look into the value of some of these things. What do you think is the most expensive like trading card that's ever been sold, man?
Oh, man. Okay, so two guesses. One, I'm gonna say like some form of a Charizard card. The other guess would be
There's been expensive Charizards,
probably like a Wayne Gretzky or something like that.
Yeah,
like
so those
card.
Those are good guesses, man. Pokemon cards are some of the most valuable. I mean, definitely more than Digimon.
I miss Digimon.
Oh man, I had some sick Digimon. I had a lot of Pokemon cards back in the day too. I actually at my my school, at my elementary school, I won a contest for a bunch of Pokemon cards, and then I buried them in a playground. I was a weird kid, man. I was a weird kid. Anyways, everybody wanted them, and I was just like, I'm going to bury these. And I just like secretly buried them in the playground. I don't even really understand why I did that. Maybe that could have been.
Have you dug them up?
I might go back. They're back in Timmins, man. So maybe I'll go back in Timmins and dig them up. But I didn't do it in like a bag or nothing. I just put them right in the ground. So they'd be pretty like screwed up by now. But maybe that
like holes and like
yeah, man, there could be like $500,000 of Pokemon cards down there getting eaten by worms. But anyways, yeah, so that's a good guess, man. And it's funny that you said Charizard specifically. There was a Charizard that went in 2020 for well, aptly enough, I guess, $220K. Was sold to the rapper Logic. That's not the most expensive Pokemon card. There was a Blastoise that's been sold since then for $360K. And the funny thing is people think that Logic bought that one too, but they did it under like an alias because that's how a lot of people are doing these now. So people don't know it's them. They'll like create an infrastructure to buy these things, which is nuts. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that is not the most expensive trading card either, though. You'd think $360K would be a lot. Magic the Gathering, Michael, the Black Lotus card of Magic the Gathering went for 500,000 USD, bud, which is freaking nuts. Apparently it gives you, I talked to my friend Dylan, who big Magic the Gathering guy, Dylan out there. Shout out Dylan. And he said it gives you an advantage at the beginning of your game. But still, that is not the most expensive card. There is a baseball card was the most expensive thing that I could find. Mickey Mantle card was sold in 2020 for $5.2 million. Wow. It's freaking wild, man. So when you see things like that, and then you compare it to, you know, an artist like Beeple, I mean, the most expensive work that he sold was $160,000. In his weekend auction where he took $3.5 million that we talked about earlier. But, you know, comparing that to the art market and comparing that to these like other forms of collectibles, I think it does kind of start to make sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, other than the Logan Paul ones.
Yeah. I had a question for you.
Yeah.
Jared, you did a good amount of research here. And there's one question that I had while kind of looking through, and I don't know that it was necessarily answered. Now I understand that a lot of these things, you know, so you own the visual or the visual property of that currency, right? But here's my question then is like when you have something that is, for example, a LeBron dunk or or if it's something that is like a tweet or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So unless it's sold by the actual owner or the actual executor of that thing, like, you know, LeBron who did the dunk or Cuban who put out the tweet, is there a gray line with the actual like royalties and rights and how does that work on that end?
Oh, dude, I love that question. I'm so glad that you brought that up because that was definitely something that in researching all of this, that was like sticking out to me, and I was trying to wrap my head around that, right? Like how what does this mean in terms of like when even just to say like someone bought the Beeple, right? Like what does that mean? Sure, they have this like crypto thing that like some network somewhere says that they own it, right? But like what does that really mean? And kind of like anything with like rights and whatnot, I guess it's not like super well established. And this isn't just a problem in the crypto space. We've talked on this very podcast about that being like a huge issue that was like, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars going around in court cases and stuff with the very what'd you call him? LeBron Johns?
LeBron.
Oh, dude, man, LeBron James, you got to come up with. I know LeBron James listened to the podcast, and you got to come up with your own line of long johns, brother. I don't know why no one ever thought of that. LeBron Johns. Oh man, I'm gonna make an NFT of us inventing LeBron Johns on the podcast.
Yeah,
I'm gonna sell it
100%.
for $10,000. So to answer your question, man, it's basically works like this. So let's say that you buy the Beeple, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the rights to display that in your house. You have that rights to display that on your social media, and you have like bragging rights that you're the owner of that art piece. In most cases, like especially with something like Nyan Cat, the rights aren't taken away from like free distribution of that. So like probably you and I can still post a Nyan Cat and not get in trouble. I'm gonna put a Nyan Cat. We'll test it. I'm gonna put a Nyan Cat right here. I mean Sydney will. Sydney, put a Nyan Cat over here. Okay, there's a Nyan Cat right here. Nyan Cat. All right. So if this stays up, then it will prove my theory that that the rights don't violate our ability to share these things around. It's mostly like a status thing, man. It's mostly like, you know, you have that token that says that you own it in the same way that you could like own a piece of art. But going back to the point of it kind of being a little bit wishy-washy and not fully understood, I was like an hour and a half into a podcast where Beeple was being interviewed, and it was really interesting what he said about the guy who bought a bunch of his art, and it was like one person who bought a lot of the stuff in the auction, and he said that then he was contacted by that person who bought a lot of the stuff in the auction, and basically that guy explained to Beeple how he was creating more value in that art, and that he was creating like a VR gallery that people could come and watch it in. And I was listening to Beeple kind of being like, oh, and I never even said his name. Mike Wankerman, I think is his name. Is that his name? That's a terrible name. Winkleman. Mike Winkleman. Wankerman. He's not going to ever come on our podcast either. Anyways, Mike Winkleman, otherwise known as Beeple. He was basically describing that he wasn't even really into that idea of like the way that guy was putting it into VR or whatever the heck he was doing with it, but apparently he had the rights to do so. So yeah, I don't know if that really helps answer your question, man, but that's all it really is kind of like a token that says that you own it, and you have like the status, the bragging rights of owning a Beeple, you know, and you can post it on your thing and display it up in your VR gallery, I suppose. Yeah.
And so you can resell that loan asset for the same purpose, but I guess you can't resell it as like a widespread royalty-free image. Like that's not yours to do that way. Is kind of how I'm hearing it. It's more like you said, like a bragging right, or something that you can personally use and display within your home or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting like ownership rights. Like, and in fact, I know that that Beeple still gets paid royalties every time that someone like sells a piece of his art. That's something that's like automatically done through the blockchain, which is another reason why this stuff is awesome. That he automatically gets paid royalties if it's ever resold, which a lot of these were, right? Like some people bought something for like $200K, turned around and flipped it for like $5 million.
Wow.
Yeah. Nuts, eh?
Well, here's my question for you now. So if Beeple still owns that artwork, can he not continue to just resell it? Or I guess not within the currency. He can resell it maybe like outside of that format, but it's not going to be categorized as like that token or that that currency in like in the way that we're kind of speaking to.
Yeah,
does it affect his ability?
He'd be violating the contract, I think, if he did that. Yeah, I think once you've sold
if he were to re-enter it into the currency, or if he were to.
Yeah, the way I think it works, man, is like you've basically converted that artwork into an NFT, and if you were trying to like sell it again outside of that, like that's really violating the contract and really violating what this whole thing is all about. So I don't think that you'll see. Maybe people will try stuff like that, but it's going to be like highly fraudulent if they do.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and then the other issue around this, is the whole idea of like, is this just a huge bubble? People are gonna, from the, like, we're not investors here, right? Me and Michael, I don't own a lot of stocks. Do you?
I do own stocks. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, so Michael's more of an investor than me. I am invested in this podcast. But there's a lot of people trying to get rich quick right now, and this can be kind of an alluring thing. And I do, from my perspective, after researching this over the last couple of days pretty heavily, like I do think that it's really cool. I think it's really interesting from like an artist perspective that this is giving artists, like Beeple, who's been posting every day for 13 years, by the way, to finally make some money, right? And before he was selling his artworks for like $1, or even I think he said the most he ever sold it for was like $1,000 before this auction where he made $3.5 million. So in that sense, I really like it. But like, are there some people who are going to go kind of betting on these things and lose a lot of money, buying a Nyan Cat, and maybe it doesn't turn out Nyan Cat's worth as much as you think it is, or a Logan Paul trading card, might not be. I think Logan Paul is a secret genius, by the way, but we'll get into that on another episode.
Yeah.
And just definitely one aspect where this can be controversial. I think it's going to change a lot for artists, but I also think that, just like any big investment thing, like there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers, right? There's going to be people who make a lot, and there's going to be people who lose their house over this, just like any cryptocurrency or any investment, right?
Mm-hmm. You
could do the same with Pokemon cards.
Yeah. So I think just like if you're familiar with trading, if you're not, it's kind of like what Jared mentioned earlier, and on what Gary V mentioned, like just make sure you do your homework. Like, a lot of this is going to be kind of hard to measure, especially with it being such a new thing. But really, it's cool. It's interesting. We're talking about it because it's top of mind right now for a lot of people, and it's making headlines. But do be safe. With your money. Be careful with it, and just do as much research as you possibly can to understand it. Take what you've learned here and then try to expand on that knowledge before you go out and spend $20 million on a LeBron James tweet or something like that.
Yeah, and that's another thing that kept coming up, not only in my research for this, but it's definitely come up in my life, and in business, like working with business coaches and just talking to smart people in business that can give you advice. Normally they'll say stuff like, don't invest in things that you don't understand, right? You should invest in things that you believe in, I think is ultimately the takeaway. So, like I like Beeple, I like his art. I would love to own a piece of his collection here. I don't have $6 million, so I guess I'm too late. I'll have to wait for something else. I know you guys are shocked, right? But invest in things that you believe in. So if there's an artist that you like, or there's a company that you use, I'm shooting on a Canon camera right now, I would definitely throw a little bit of money behind Canon stock if I had a little bit of extra money around. And it's something that I'm going to get into as well, is this investing stuff. And that's really the takeaway here, is that like these headlines and whatever, it is cool to think about this stuff. But this is also serious. Like this could potentially be the future of how artists make money on the internet. So as much as it is just like a headline grabbing thing, I think it's something that deserves our attention and deserves your attention as a listener. And, I'm sure we messed up a bunch of stuff explaining crypto stuff today. But know that we did our best, right, Michael?
That is right. We also are, this is not the Crypto Brothers podcast or whatever. So just try and keep that in mind. That's our other
podcast, the Financial Crypto Podcast.
Oh man, let's keep that one on the back burner for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
If you guys have any questions or if there are like Jared mentioned, if there's something that we messed up, leave that down in the comments section below. Let us know what we got wrong, what else is additional information that's good to know for anyone who might be interested in doing this.
Yeah. I got a good one too. I got a good one for comments.
Go for it.
What Michael said as well. If we got anything wrong, definitely let us know about that. If you're a crypto expert here, I would love to talk to somebody. I'd love to try to understand this stuff a little bit better. Maybe even the Photography Brothers are going to come up with an NFT. We've got some good clips. We got some good songs on here. Maybe we'll be coming out with our own offering. So look out for that. And the other thing is, I want to thank you, Michael. I want to thank you for delving into the topic here, for being a true photography brother, and for tackling this news story here, because this wasn't an easy one, man, but definitely one that was eye-opening for your brother Jared.
Yeah, man. No, I mean, thank you. You had a lot of the information, so it was good. I did a little bit of research here, but it's good. It's good to learn a lot more about it, and thank you for taking the lead, man. Very eye opening.
Oh yeah, definitely. And going back to the comment section there, I forgot what my point was. Put yourself a comment if there's a good investment that you've gotten in on early and actually made money. Maybe you've bought some Pokemon cards. Maybe you've bought some Logan Paul clips of him opening Pokemon cards. Maybe you have some what did I say? Crypto kitties? Maybe you got a crypto kitty.
Crypto kitties.
You got a crypto kitty and you're balling out here with a crypto kitty. So let us know all about that stuff down there. We've already thanked Michael. We've already thanked me. We need to thank Sydney for editing the podcast. And we need to thank 50 Cent for
Lollipop. That was Lil Wayne.
But we'll also thank Lil Wayne for Lollipop as well. I'm pretty sure that was Lil Wayne. Is it? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Lil Wayne. I was thinking of what is it? Candy Shop.
Candy Shop. That was 50 Cent. Yeah. That was
maybe
later.
That's the next music adaptation that we do for the intro.
Maybe. Yeah. I'll take you to the PHOTOBROS. Anyways, whatever.
Bros.
I'll work on it. We're gonna.
Boy.
Oh man, never mind. We'll work on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll work on it,
yeah. We don't want. Yeah. Anyways. Okay. So that's the show. Yes. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, our audience. Thank you, Sydney. And we will be back here next week, as always, with another thrill ride of an episode of Photography Brothers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.